All right, so we're going to run comps for a coast address, 111 River Street. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
We
Is
can't
it
see.
active?
It is. It was 2 days ago. So
111 River Street. Hold on, let me share my screen. Can you guys see this? 111 River.
Yes.
I don't see anything. Do you have an MLS number?
it's 4 ones. I'm sorry, 1111.
1111. All right, there we go. All right, River Street. All right, so this is how I run comps. I don't use the fancy comp thing that we talked about several months ago. If you're interested in using that thing, there is a video on the resources page to take a look at. All right, let's see. What do we got? Got a detached single family home. It is 4 beds, 2 full baths. There is no garage. It's about 2,000 square feet. It's on approximately half an acre. It was built in 1956. It's in the Northwood subdivision. All right, so this is where I'm going to start. I'm always going to default to a subdivision if we can. So in another tab, I'm going to open up the quick search. And I'm going to start with changing the status to all of these. For the coast, I'll leave for a year for now for the time frame, unless we get so many that we move it back. From the triangle, it's probably going to be between 30 days and 6 months. I'm going to do bedrooms 4 to 4. I'm going to do baths. This is total and not just full, but it's the same in this one, 2 baths total. I'm going to try the subdivision, Northwoods. Square feet, I typically will do about 500 either way. So since it's right around 2,000, I'll do 1,500 to 2,500. The default search in Flex doesn't have garage, so I'm going to go in and search total garage spaces and put 0 to 0. And then I missed the subtype. I'm going to do single family home. And then we've got 8 results. Any questions about how I did that? That makes sense for everybody?
Do you always do bed and bath? I just usually do square feet sometimes.
I like to do bed and baths because more bedrooms can be worth more, in my opinion. But all things being equal, if you can't find, sometimes all the neighborhood houses will be 3 bedrooms, but your subject has a 4 bedroom.
Yeah.
Then I'll default. I'll drop down to 3 bedrooms or do the square footage or a combination of those 2.
Hey, Doug.
Yep.
Maybe a weird question, but why did you do so long? Like you said, you do it for a year at Coast, but only 30 days to 6 months for Triangle. Just wondering.
Just because usually there's not as many options down here
Okay.
as there are up there. Now we've got 8 here. Ideally you've got between 3 and 4 with more
Okay.
than half of those closed. So I'm going to come in and just change this to 6 months and see if we've got enough. And if not, we'll revert back.
You know, you
So
can
we've
change
only
that,
got,
Dave.
Doug, can
yes.
I interject something real quick? Can you change the with the 2 arrows next to the date? If you can go there with the
Yep, right here.
Nope. Right. To the left.
To the left. To the
To
left.
the left of the date. The 2 arrows going opposite directions.
Oh, right here. Yep.
Yeah, click that. And then if you put 183 in there, it's just an easier way to do 6 months.
Well, I had to type 2. I had to type 2 digits there. If I change the month, I only have to type 2 or 3.
I was just showing a different way.
I didn't know that was possible. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate that. All right. So see, we've got 3. So when we click to look and see what our comps say, 3 might not be enough. Now we've got 2 closed, 1 closed in March and 1 closed in February. So let's give this a look. So you've got your subject. I honestly, a lot of times I have a hard time getting my subject when I run flex comps. I always seem to get something mixed up. So if your subject isn't showing up in your comp, if your subject isn't showing up in your comps, you need to make sure that you go back and check out your comps or your details that you've put in. So after you get your subject and some comps, come up here and punch CMA. Hello.
Doug, you have to select the properties on the square.
Shouldn't.
You shouldn't have to, no. Everything is frozen now. I zoomed so you could see it better, and now it's.
Oh, man.
Can you just refresh the
Your
page?
fault.
Or will that make you lose everything?
It won't do anything. All right, here we go. Let's try.
Don't you just love technology?
Flex is pretending to be Boomtown.
Right. Come on, Flex. You're screwing up our meeting.
Well, this is way further than we got the other day, so.
It is, but I feel like
Yeah,
Flex
that's
has
true.
something
Hey.
against us.
That's the attitude, Holly. I love you. That's fantastic. Way to go. All right, so let's do 183. Let's do these again real quickly. Single family, total baths 2 and 2, bedrooms 4 and 4, garage, total garage 0 to 0. Square feet, 1,500 to 2,500. Subdivision, Northwoods. So we've got our 3. And then you click on CMA and you click just the one line CMA. All right, so you've got all of your criteria across the top up here, which we don't have this on our CMAs in the triangle, which is incredibly frustrating. I don't know why. I love Flex for this reason, because when you send somebody comps, you could say, and there's the criteria at the top. So let's look at these and compare. All right. Year built, they're all about the same. Subdivision, definitely the same. Beds and baths, the same. Square feet, roughly the same, right? Lot square footage. All right, these are smaller. So we've got some justification for this one being worth a little bit more, right? It's 50% larger. This one's about half an acre. These are both a quarter. It's been on the market 16 days. These were on the market 71 and 49 days. Wow, really popular area. List price 215, sold for 210. List price 179.9, sold price 179.9. Hey, kudos to them for holding out for what their asking price was. It was priced low anyways. Price per square foot, 108. Price per square foot, 84. Price per square foot here, 105. How's this priced?
Fair.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Anybody have any other thoughts on that?
Depends on what the condition of the other properties and the subject property is too. I have no idea. I haven't seen any pictures.
Right. So the next step you're going to want to do is go in and scroll through the pics of the subject and the 2 comps and see if they're, if they're similar.
Doug, do you ever do stipulation of sale none, just so that you don't pull any foreclosures or anything like that?
I will if I see something that's a real outlier.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's a great question. And you can do that right here in the edit search to make sure that you're not pulling any foreclosure properties, is what Janine's talking about. If you go in and you type stipulation of sale, you should be able to go in here and select none. And then that will take out any estate sales, which are usually underpriced, any foreclosures, any short sales, et cetera. And you see in this situation, we still got 3. So those other ones should be good.
Let me ask you this, to pull more comps, since you should always do like 3 closed, would you maybe edit, like, what would you edit next? Take off bedrooms, bathrooms, or a garage? Like, what would be your next step to pull more comps? Go more days back?
I probably would just go further back.
Okay.
Can I
And
throw
see if
something
I
in there?
notice the trend in the price bumping up accordingly. So I could say, you know what, a similar home in this square footage 6 months ago sold for $100 a square foot. So it makes sense that this one is at 205. There's a natural trajectory there. Go ahead, Nate.
So what I like to do if there's not a lot is I'll just pull the whole neighborhood.
Yep.
And that way, when I see the whole neighborhood, I can like pick and choose. And sometimes like I'll even pick ones that are bigger or, newer.
Okay. So let me show everybody how to do that, just because I think that's a great point. So Nate is just saying, hey, let's look at the neighborhood itself, and then I'm going to go through and pick and choose which ones make sense to be in there. So maybe, to Janine's point too, take out the total bedrooms, take out the total bathrooms. Let's just focus on Northwoods with the same relatively size square footage over the same time frame, right? Let me make sure I uncheck baths. And so we've got 12. So now we come in and look at it like this. And so of course we have more because you got a bunch of 3 bedrooms in here. Now, relatively speaking, they're all the same age, which is why you want to stick to the same neighborhood when possible. When we start looking outside of neighborhoods, that's when it gets really subjective, right? But you can see these are all ranch homes for the most part. They're all 50 years old.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
They're all 4 or 3
yeah, I
bedrooms,
guess
right?
I thought it was 210.
And then to what Nate was talking about, you can go in and say, hey, I want to use that one. 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 Hey, I
So-
want to use that one. I want to use that one. That's it. I'm ruling the rest of these out because
Well, so the other
I've
thing
looked-
I was going to say was that
Yep.
if if they're bigger square footage or smaller square footage, that's fine because that's easily explained, like just by saying, the lower the square footage, the higher the price per square foot. So then you can kind of gauge when you're explaining it to them like, hey, I think this is priced right, or it's priced over based off of, the smaller or bigger houses.
So to that point, just so we have a visual representation of where that is, you've got these handy dandy little averages here, all right, under each category. So if you're looking at, our subject property, you've got, it's $105 a square foot. We look at all the other properties and we see, all right, the average square footage is 1780, which is less than ours of 1917. The average lot size is 18,000. Ours is 21, almost 22,000, right? The average days on market were 32. We're halfway there. The average price per square foot was 96. We're at 105. So, you can use that to kind of show which way it should be going or which way it should go. Now, because we've gone back so far and because we've got a broader range now, the price of square footage
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. The
lower.
more you have, the lower average price per square
Right.
foot.
But you can also look at, well, the max was 108.
Yeah.
Ours is updated. That one was really updated. Looking at some of these other pictures, like, we've got some outliers that drag it down. We got an 84 here. We got a 93 here.
Yeah.
If you're taking into consideration the pending with showings, I mean, that one's
Sometimes-
112.
and sometimes that's
pending is
good.
77.
What, Nate? What's good? The pending?
Sometimes that's good too. So mostly on the listing side, but sometimes it's good to say, hey, because people selling their home will look at it and they'll be like, well, I know Fred sold his house down the street for X amount of dollars. And then once you put the black and white in front of them, you can say, hey, yeah, but that was then, this is now, if you look at this. And sometimes they think they got X amount of dollars for the house. And oh, by the way, they don't know that there was, 5,000 in concessions and stuff like that. So, that's a good thing to point out as well. And you should do that with on the buy side too. When you're doing your comps, look at the concessions to see, if they're giving anything up too. Cause it's great that it's, 100%, but that doesn't mean that they didn't give up money somewhere.
Hey, do the appraisers take that into consideration when they're giving value? Do you know? Concessions or not?
Concessions,
Yeah,
they do.
they do. Do
Well,
they take away for that?
When you do a Tidewater, they ask for it.
I haven't.
So
done
to
that.
Nate's point, everybody, so you know where to look. You come into this closed listing, right? And then you look at the post-closing and you can see there were seller concessions. It was for $1,000. Everybody
was
see what
cash.
this is right there?
Do you know what that means?
Like they got $1,000.
Yeah,
Closing.
you choose.
Okay.
Basically, seller paid closing costs. So it shows up as a credit for the buyers on their closing disclosure.
Okay.
That helpful for everybody?
Yeah. Does the appreciation like from like selling in 6 months and selling like yesterday, is that just gonna be based off of what you're seeing in the neighborhood, or so it's like tailored to each neighborhood, or do you think there's like a standard that we can kind of go by?
I mean, we used to say between 3 and 5% a year. Right now, it's just nuts. That's almost as relevant as these comps are, unfortunately.
Right.
Now, so
10% in the
you just
last year.
I think you just kind of have to look at it and see where it is based on how far you've gone back. That's why I love to do shorter time frames,
Yeah.
because you won't see
Yeah.
a huge swing, which honestly, sometimes showing a huge swing over a year or 6 months may really scare somebody,
Yeah.
right? Now, you can run comps 1,000 different ways. You can do radius searches, you can do neighboring neighborhoods, all of that. Ideally, you always want to stick to the same neighborhood because it's same builder usually, same age, same lot size, same features, etc. I know that's not always doable. In situations like that, it's really important to keep it to things like square footage, same number of beds and baths and garage, lot size, age, things of that nature.
Hell, and half the time the appraisers won't even use the same comps you've pulled. Where'd they get that one?
Right. I mean, you'll see some stuff from out of left field too. Again, these are best practices. None of it is the gospel. It's
Sure.
just this hopefully gives us the best chance to give our people information so they feel comfortable about making a decision, right?
Hey Doug, what about mine from over the weekend when the listing agent said it won't appraise, but this is what the people want?
That's market conditions and one of those situations where the comps are completely irrelevant, but we still need to get them in front of them so they know that we've given them some market data.
So yeah, in that case, did you ask her for the comps to share her comps with you, or did she just say, I didn't do any?
I asked her because you and I couldn't find any,
Yeah.
and then she said, you're gonna have to look outside of Onslow County.
Oh, Jesus.
So my new build in Chadwick Shores, Sneeds Ferry, the comps were pulled from Summer House in Holly Ridge.
That's
'cause that's
batshit
like-
crazy. That's people stretching to try and justify what the seller is asking for, which
Well, it's my new
100%
build. It's my new build.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing. It's a builder trying to stretch to justify what they're asking for. At the same time, in this market, get used to it.
Yeah.
People are going to do everything they can to justify it, or they're just going to say, it's not justified. I don't give a shit. Somebody's going to buy it.
Yeah, I'm buying it.
Well, my people are buying it, and they even went over, they said, I want to offer what the Zestimate is. We know that that's not accurate, but we know that other people shopping are going to see that, and they're going to offer at least that.
I will tell you, that's the first time I've heard that, but I'm not surprised at all.
I was like, okay, whatever, I'll write whatever you want me to.
All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to move and do some a triangle example real quick. Are our coast folks good? Okay. All right. Triangle folks, who's got an address? Anybody?
7434 Ranshire Way.
Right here. All right, cool. All right, so you're going to notice a very similar approach because regardless of the systems, the way I learned how to run comps and how I still run comps is relatively similar. Okay. So dropping in the subdivision. I'm going to go in and make sure we're doing the same thing status wise. Same type of property, detached. Date range, we'll start with 6 months. Just go back and check. All right, so we got a 3-car garage. This is going to be fun. 3-car garage, 3,500 square feet, 1/5 of an acre,
Good God, our market's
5
so
beds, 4
different.
full baths. Okay. But I mean, it looks different, but none of the things I'm using are different. It's all the same criteria.
It just looks a lot fancier than ours.
And then well, you know how those triangle people roll. They're all full of themselves. Especially Brandon, and he's not here, so it's okay to say that. I hope he doesn't see this. All right, let's see if we get
Even if
anything.
he was here, you would still say it.
We got one. Fantastic. I probably would. All right, so we got one. 3-car garage is always going to be an outlier typically, so I'm going to take that off. Guess what? We still got one. So thanks for being difficult, Meredith.
You're welcome.
Let's see what else we can do. So a good example, we got to massage some stuff, right? All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back and do a radius search. All right, so I'm going to drop the neighborhood. I'm going to come up here to mapping. And if it loads, we'll do it. Oh, we're making some progress.
What dollar amount would you give to the extra car garage?
Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I mean, 10,000, I have no idea.
I would say something like that, yeah. All right, so we got it plotted. Is that really, where is it? Where is it? It's right there, okay. Let's start with a mile radius and see what we come up with. Nothing.
Where's it
Right here.
at? Okay, yeah, that's right. I couldn't see it for a second.
I don't think we're getting anything. All right, let's change this. So in a situation like this, we got to start getting creative. Okay, so now we're in a mile radius. We got the same beds, baths, relative bathrooms. Let's just do, let's add lots to, okay. I mean, this is a tough one. Let's go in and look at this. So you got Ranshire and you've got Grosby, okay? You're going to come down here to CMA and CMA summary, and then let's compare these two. This is a very small sample size. But in the triangle, you can't get too far out radius-wise just because of the density, right? All right, so we've got 5 beds, 4 baths, 5 beds, 4 baths. Similar years, the lot size is similar. Square footage is similar. This one sold for 107. This one was this one sold for 107. This one was listed for 118. So I would say that this one was overpriced, right? However, we know this one is only a 2-car garage. This one is 3-car garage. So you can add another $10,000 in there at least, but that only puts us at 375. So, you know, this one was overpriced. That one sold in 2 days. This one got under contract in 3 days. So this is where you're going to go in and take a hard look at the property and see, you know, what's really different about it. Well, we noticed the garage is different, right? And then, I mean, this was only built in 2015. So it's just going to be about area. This is also one where we're going to want to go in and see what else we can do. I mean, do we want to do 4 bedrooms to get some more? What if we go to 4 bedrooms and add a 3-car garage? That didn't help. See, we only have 1. So the 3-car garage is really causing an outlier issue. These other things this is where, you know, the bedrooms maybe aren't as important as the square footage. So let's go in and look at that. You know, now looking at it this way, we've got things that justify the price more, right? Now you got some newer construction stuff in there, but the newer construction is a significant amount over this one, which is, 5 years old. So now that price looks a lot better to me. Any thoughts on that, Meredith?
If there is nothing else in the neighborhood, will appraisers use new construction? 'Cause I
That's
just want a
tough.
number that's just, I mean, obviously the stuff, like the comps I ran in the neighborhood that I showed for a house yesterday, the crap ton of new construction going in. But I didn't use any of those as my comps. Of course, those are all way higher than what's listed or what, so I don't know, like,
I
Our
think in a
agents
situation
usually-
like that, you want to show the new construction if you can't find anything else,
yeah,
and show that, hey, this is priced well compared to the new construction as we would expect it to be.
Yeah.
Because if you see it priced the same as the new construction, you can say with, a good amount of certainty, hey, I feel like this is overpriced.
right.
But hey, we've got similar type homes that are just newer that are priced at $10 more a square
Right.
foot.
Well,
So
I
you,
think
Go
it
ahead.
really matters too that like the subject property is 16, so like it's only a couple or a few years off from being new construction.
know.
So the
Right.
fact it's not like we're dealing with a 2000 house, which would be a bigger jump.
So like in this situation, this Barrio Court here in 2009, this is one where I might uncheck it to take it off the comps, because that's dragging our average way down.
Mhm.
The
Oh, wait a minute.
95
So you can, so I didn't know that. So you can take stuff out of your comp report by
Yep, so
checking it?
similar to what we were talking about with Nate, here you can come in and pull that out.
Oh, ooh, I did not know this. Yay.
And so you check them here on the left, Meredith, the ones you
Okay.
want, and then you click this box right here that says checked. And now you see how it's only 5. It got rid of that
Ooh.
other one.
Okay.
What did,
And now you come here and you run the report, and then it's just those 5 that you selected.
what's the difference in y'all's MLS that says contingent and pending?
They're the same thing because they're used interchangeably, even though ideally contingent means, hey, the buyer has to sell. They're used interchangeably because people don't pay attention to how it's supposed to be used, which is why they got rid of that at the coast, I think.
Yeah, we don't have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just have pending with showings and pending.
Right. There used to be one. They got rid of it, I think.
Gotcha.
All right. Was that helpful?
Yeah, it's just so insane how it doesn't matter how much time I feel like you spend doing comps or how good you are at them or what you show your clients. The appraiser is going to be the one that has all the control over the transaction, and it's their opinion.
Right.
about it.
And we can't control that. So
Yeah.
there's no reason to let it bother us. All we can do is show them the best. We have to feel really good about our process
Yeah.
and make sure that we're giving them like properties and explain. You get 5 appraisers in here, you're going to get 5 different numbers. Now, unfortunately, that carries a little bit more weight now because everybody's overpaying.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's the best way to do it, in my opinion.
Well, and I've seen, I feel like Brandon and you, Doug, have kind of looked at like what it's sold over list price to kind of gauge what you're probably going to have to pay. Is that?
I think
Some-
that is something that you should definitely take into consideration. So if you're looking at properties that have sold, right, and you're looking at the list price and then you're looking at the sold price, and every one of them is selling for 5% over, well, then you can guesstimate that you're probably going to need to pay at least 5% over to get it.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it will appraise for 5% over. That
Correct.
just means you're probably going to have to pay that.
Yeah.
Right. Or that's
Okay.
what people are paying in the neighborhood. None of this has anything to do with appraisal.
True.
Gotcha. What I know this is a stupid question, but like, is there any type of like 5,000 buffer, or what do you think a good buffer is for appraisals? Like,
They're all
I
over
think
the
it's
place.
going to
Shit,
depend
you
on the
don't-
property. I mean,
Yeah.
the more expensive a property is, the greater the chance that the appraisal gulf could be bigger.
yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Question. When it comes to appraisals, isn't it just going to be based on the most recent sale prices? So like, I understand they can look at like competing offers and all that, but like, they're going to look at the price of what it's sold for. They're not going to be like, well, I don't think that sale price is justified because the market's stupid. I'm going to
Correct.
value it at X.
Well, I had
Right.
an appraiser just that I had my townhouse here in Sneeds Ferry. There was plenty that were within the last few months, and he went all the way back last summer to one, and he got, I mean, we paid 5 over, but it was still 5 under list is what I mean, we're 10 short on the appraisal. I mean, my people made up the difference, but I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it's just crazy. I guess technically they can go back a whole year. And so I don't understand sometimes why they do that when there's more recent comps to use to justify. I have no idea, Charles.
I would agree
If
with
we're
that. I think
supposed
that
to
that
use
guy did a bad job.
more recent comps, why aren't they supposed to use more recent comps? Like, what, isn't that like the
They
standard?
should, yeah, they absolutely should. But here's the thing I want us to be careful of. No matter how much we disagree with that or think that they should run comps the way we should, they're going to do it their own way.
Yeah.
So, we just have to do the best we can with the data that's in front of us and also explain, given market conditions, it's more volatile than it normally is.
Mm-hmm. For
Our
sure. I just didn't
appraisers-
And make sure your people are prepared.
Our
I just
appraisers
wondering like why we're held to a standard to do it X amount back and then like they're doing whatever the heck they want to.
You know what? I would wager that if you get 5 real estate people to run comps on a property and 5 appraisers, that the real estate numbers are going to be closer than the appraiser numbers are if you average them out.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm
Are-
completely wrong, but at the end of the day, none of it matters.
Are
Yeah.
the appraisers taken into consideration like low inventory, people are listing high, the aggressiveness of the market, people overpaying to try to make value?
I
Or
don't think none of that is going to come into play until the close numbers show up and it's shown in the close numbers.
Can we do a best practices with an appraiser?
I think we've talked about it, but appraisers are kind of funky. And the one that I know, I'm not sure I want him to do a best practices with us. So we can think about that.
Just, then we can at least pick somebody's brain and be like, can you explain how this goes?
like
Yeah.
if you've got a great comp, but it's got a pool, how do you adjust that?
Right. And those are some things that that other tool that you can use in Flex that kind of gives some values to help you do the math and things like that. But for the purposes of this conversation, it would be really too easily to squirrel into a bunch of specific
Yeah.
situations. And at this point, we're talking about baseline best practices for running comps.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for when you get in situations like that. So I can help you work through things like that.
I had a client ask me if there was any data about like where stuff was appraising at, and I was like, no, all the
Yeah.
data we have is, the list price and the sell price. Is that right? Am I missing
Yep.
anything?
Appraisals are not public knowledge. Nobody has to share those. You don't even have to share them with the agent on the other side of the transaction. So you got to set the expectation that none of that is relative to how we're going to have to act, because you're never going to have access to that data.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
No, it's a great question.
Doug, we may have already
and-
talked about it, but residential rentals comps, I know we have that option in MLS for ours on Paragon.
Yep.
Is there other places that we should be looking for residential rental comps, like a good site, or is this going to be the best way to do it?
So just one second. I wanted you guys to see in the triangle where the financial concessions piece is as well. You see that up at the top? And then, hold on, and then also at the closing information down here, you can see terms of sale, no special circumstances. So that's where it would be like REO, foreclosure, or short sale or estate sale. And then you can see the terms of the sale were conventional. And the same thing shows in Flex. You just got to go and look at the sold info. I know we didn't pull it up. For Charles, to your question for residential rental info, no, I don't know anywhere else where you would go and pull that information. And I'm not sure I would trust anywhere that's not in MLS, because it's probably not agents entering it if it exists anywhere else. We also have great folks who do, especially in the triangle for investment stuff. We've got a great contact that does property management. If you're looking for rental estimates, I would talk to her. All right. I hope this was helpful. Again, none of what we do is the answer to every question, and every scenario is going to be specific unto itself. These are best practices for ways to handle things in general.
And like everybody said, these comps are a hill of beans right now.
They are, but they won't be always, because they haven't been in the past. So, our job is to give people information to feel good about making a decision, whether that's paying list price or paying 25K over.
Yep.
The big thing is about being able to disseminate this information to them specific to their situation and what they're capable of, so they feel good about it.
So this might be a stupid question. Next year when if things settle down a bit, when we look back in this year and we run our comps, is there gonna be like this big jump in the spike that we see, or you know what I mean?
I mean, the numbers will probably look different. You know, you might not see things over 3 months appreciating or ramping up as much. The way we run comps is going to be the exact same way. It's the same way I've been doing it for 7 years. I don't think it's changed. All right. Anybody else?
Thank you.
I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys have a great day.
You too. Thank you for the
Thanks
info.
so much. Bye.